There's a moment in life that doesn't arrive with ceremony. It doesn't warn you or tap you on the shoulder. It just appears, the way a room cools when someone leaves a window open. You don't notice the exact second the temperature changes. You only realize you're suddenly aware of it. My moment came last summer, on a day so ordinary it should have dissolved into the blur of routine. I was walking my dog, same leash, same route, the soft jingle of his collar keeping time. Across the street, a group of kids were playing one of those childhood games that pretends to be democratic but is really ruled by whoever yells the loudest. And then one of them said, with the blunt accuracy only children have, "Here comes the old lady with the big dog." I didn't flinch. The words didn't hurt. They just shifted the air around me, like a curtain catching a sudden breeze. My knees softened, not enough to stumble, just enough to remind me that time has been quietly collecting its rent. I kept walking, pretending I hadn't heard, but the sentence followed me home like a faint smell of smoke you can't quite locate. That night, I stood in front of the bathroom mirror longer than usual. Not dramatically, more like someone checking the tide before stepping into the water. The face looking back didn't match the label I'd been given. A few fine lines, yes. No white hair yet. My short haircut still negotiating with the years like an old diplomat who knows compromise is inevitable. I didn't see an old lady. I saw a woman whose features had finally settled into themselves, the way a well-lived-in house stops trying to look new and becomes unmistakably home. But the comment stayed with me. It still returns sometimes, usually when I'm brushing my teeth, that moment when the bathroom light is too honest and your thoughts have nowhere else to go. It's strange how a single sentence from someone who still needs permission to cross the street can echo louder than a decade of birthdays. In the days that followed, I started noticing other things, small, almost invisible shifts in how the world interacted with me. Younger coworkers came to me for advice, not just about work, but about life, as if I'd quietly become the office's emotional barometer. My neighbor's teenage son offered to mow my lawn. When I assumed he wanted extra money, he said, "I saw you struggling with your chores, ma'am." That "ma'am" landed with the softness of a feather and the finality of a period. And suddenly I remembered, I thought my mother was old when she was approaching 50. Life loops back on you like a tide reclaiming the shoreline. I didn't panic. I didn't Google miracle serums or how to look 10 years younger without looking like you're trying. But something inside me shifted, a quiet recalibration, a whisper saying, maybe it's time to grow into this stage, not resist it. Trying to look younger, I realized, is like trying to iron the creases out of a leaf. You might smooth the surface, but the story remains. And honestly, I've never been the type to chase trends. I dress for comfort, not applause. Makeup became optional, a gentle suggestion rather than a negotiation with time. I didn't want to erase the years. I wanted to understand them. So I started taking care of myself differently, not out of fear, but out of respect. I cooked more meals at home, choosing foods that didn't make my body feel like it needed to file a complaint. I walked more, longer, slower, letting my thoughts stretch out like cats in a sunny window. I spent more time in nature, where time feels less like a countdown and more like a companion. I stopped climbing on unstable chairs to change light bulbs. I stopped lifting heavy furniture just because I used to. These weren't acts of surrender, they were acts of intelligence, the kind you earn. And my body noticed. It thanked me in its own quiet language. Fewer aches, better sleep, a steadiness I hadn't felt in years. It was as if my body had been waiting for me to stop treating it like a machine and start treating it like a partner. Somewhere along the way, I began asking myself why we're so afraid of aging. Maybe because aging reminds us that life isn't endless, but pretending it isn't happening doesn't stop the clock. Accepting it, though, That gives us peace. Aging isn't a cliff, it's a landscape, and the view changes depending on where you stand. Growing older teaches you to enjoy each day with more honesty, to cherish the good memories and let the bad ones rest, to appreciate the wisdom you've earned, not the kind you read in books, but the kind you pay for with mistakes, heartbreaks, and unexpected victories. It teaches you to slow down when you need to rest without guilt, to adapt to a rhythm that changes naturally with time. And maybe most importantly, it teaches you to trust your intuition, because intuition ages like wine, deeper, sharper, more reliable. When you're young, intuition feels like a guess. When you're older, it feels like a compass. Life doesn't stop as you age, it shifts. It becomes less about proving yourself and more about understanding yourself, less about collecting experiences and more about savoring them, less about being seen and more about seeing clearly. We should keep making plans, keep dreaming, keep opening new chapters, not because we're running out of time, but because we're still here, and that's reason enough. Dust off your bucket list. Stop postponing the things that make you feel alive. There is no right moment. Life is the right moment. There's a strange beauty in being not young, not old, just in between. It's like standing on a bridge at sunset. The air is warm, the light is soft, and everything around you glows for a few fleeting minutes. You can see where you came from, you can see where you're going, and for once, you're not rushing towards either side. You're simply there, present, aware, alive. I'm not young, but I'm not old either. I'm somewhere in the middle, in that rare, overlooked space where you finally understand who you are and you stop apologizing for it. And if you're here with me, listening, chances are you're somewhere in that space too. If this resonated with you, even a little, you're welcome to stay. This channel is becoming a place for people who live in that in-between space, people who value honesty, humor, and conversations that don't rush. If you want more stories like this, you can subscribe, not because you should, but because it feels good to return to places you feel understood. And if you're already here, walking this bridge with me, I'm glad we found each other. Thank you for passing by. Over and out.